Hi everybody, my name is Dan and I'm a health consultant for Solensis. And today in this video, I'm going to show you all scientifically proven benefits associated with intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting consists of alternating cycles of eating and fasting over a period of time. This is not a diet, and the concept of intermittent fasting is not telling you what you can and cannot eat, but rather when you can eat it. But you can drink water. Tea, coffee, and other non-caloric drinks are usually allowed, as well as dietary supplements, as long as they are calorie-free. What is especially interesting with intermittent fasting is that you have many ways to do it. But generally, there are three well-known methods. The first one is particularly interesting. It's called the 16-8 method. When you follow the 16-8 method, you have to fast for 16 hours and then you are allowed to eat for 8 hours. People who use this method usually include their hours of sleep during the period of fast. So, it's easier to reach the 16 hours of fasting. For example, if you stop eating at 8 p.m., you could skip breakfast the day after and have your first meal at noon. And then you are allowed to eat for the following 8 hours during that day. The second most popular intermittent fasting method is called the 5-2 method. With this 5-2 method, you eat normally for 5 days and you reduce the number of calories ingested for the remaining 2 days. The suggested amount of calories for these 2 days is usually 250 calories per meal for women and 300 calories for men, assuming that you will take only 2 meals per day. The third most popular method is called the Eat, Stop, Eat method. This Eat, Stop, Eat method consists of doing a 24-hour fast once or twice a week. For example, you could start your fasting in the morning at 8 a.m. and stop it at 8 a.m. the next day. During the other days of the week, you could eat normally. But what are the scientifically proven benefits of intermittent fasting? And what is the science behind it? I will share with you 5 of those potential benefits that have been scientifically studied. So let's check it out. Number 1, intermittent fasting will help you to lose weight. Researchers found that intermittent fasting helps reduce body weight. And a very recent study published in the famous Cell magazine a few months ago seems to confirm this verdict. This study was conducted on 19 persons suffering from severe obesity. Researchers showed that when they fasted for 14 hours a day during 3 months, these patients dropped 3% overall weight. Scientists associated this weight loss to an overall decrease in caloric consumption due to the fast, associated with a drop of insulin levels. When you fast, you no longer provide your body with sugars, so your pancreas is put to rest. Insulin is not secreted, and your body uses your fat reserves as a fuel instead of sugar, so weight loss is facilitated during the fasting period. Even if calorie restriction alone can have the same effect on weight loss than intermittent fasting at the beginning, studies tend to confirm that intermittent fasting is definitely a better long-term solution to fight being overweight. Why? Because it's almost impossible to maintain a long-term restrictive diet. It's why intermittent fasting can be an easy alternative, especially since we don't generally observe compensation by overeating on non-fasted periods. Number 2, intermittent fasting can reduce risk of type 2 diabetes. More than 30 million people in the United States suffer from diabetes. We already know that healthy eating and exercise can help manage type 2 diabetes, but new scientific studies show that fasting could also contribute to reducing risk of type 2 diabetes. Reducing the consumption of meals, and therefore sugars, would protect against hypersecretion of insulin and possibly against resistance to this hormone. As a consequence, intermittent fasting would improve glycemic control and could prevent the apparition of type 2 diabetes. Number 3, intermittent fasting could improve your cardiovascular functions. A recent study showed that in 12 weeks, cardiovascular functions dramatically improved for patients following intermittent fasting periods. Scientists observed a drop of 6% in blood pressure and a 12% drop in cholesterol for those who were fasting. It's known that fasting decreases your blood pressure, decreases your resting heart rate, and increases your heart variability. All of that because intermittent fasting reduces your oxidative stress, which damages your cells and accelerates aging. So, by simply fasting, you can slow down your cellular aging and definitely improve your cardiovascular functions. Number 4, intermittent fasting could improve your cognitive performance. In 2019, a study on mice demonstrates that intermittent fasting could improve all the cognitive performances. And they found out that the parts of the brain involved in learning and memory were more active in the fasting group. Scientists explained that by a 50% increase in a protein called neurotrophic factor in the fasting group. Neurotrophic factors are essential proteins for the brain. They are secreted by the neurons themselves, and they are essential for the development and the maintenance of your brain functions. Based on that, intermittent fasting could also reduce the risk of neurological disorders such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. At this point, there is still a lack of studies done on humans to confirm this benefit, but it will be interesting to see what will come in the future. Number 5, intermittent fasting fights inflammation and might prevent chronic diseases. According to some recent results, the number of inflammatory cells which can cause severe tissue damage is much lower after a phase of fasting. People who practice intermittent fasting are generally less exposed to inflammations, especially inflammations that become chronic, such as diabetes, cancer, or even heart problems. Considering all the different conditions caused by chronic inflammation and the considerable number of patients suffering from these conditions in the U.S., intermittent fasting can be a great way to change our relationship with food in order to protect us from chronic diseases. I can't tell you about the benefits of intermittent fasting without warning you that this practice may be strongly discouraged depending on your state of health. First of all, it is widely accepted that pregnant or breastfeeding women, as well as children, should not practice intermittent fasting. Also, people who are suffering from eating disorders should avoid this type of practice without any medical and psychological supervision. The same applies for people suffering from addiction, such as alcoholism or drug addiction. If you are suffering from certain pathologies and want to try intermittent fasting, you should consult a doctor first. And finally, if you don't fall in any of these categories, here are my bonus recommendations for those of you who want to try intermittent fasting for the first time. First, you need to understand that intermittent fasting must be aimed at improving your relationship with food, including the will to adopt a healthy diet. If you try intermittent fasting, essentially in order to lose weight, do not forget that this is not strictly a diet, but more a tool to control your insulin secretion, your feeling of satiety, and to eat better. Secondly, with the exception of experienced people, I do not personally recommend long-term fasting because it can lead to muscle loss and hypoglycemia. It can also increase feelings of fatigue, dehydration, and make you irritable. Third, before starting a fasting period, like a few weeks before, I recommend you to reduce your intake of addictive foods like sugars. You will avoid experiencing withdrawal symptoms during your fast. 4, be prepared to feel some side effects at first, but do not necessarily be afraid of them. It can be hard at first because you're going to feel hungry at the end of the fasting period. Your body needs to adjust to your new eating habits, so you may feel tired or weak, have headaches, or intestinal disorders. So what's the take-home message of this video? Is that science demonstrated great benefits with intermittent fasting. It can improve your health, be a tool for weight loss, and help you age better by preventing many diseases. Now, I want to know more about you. Have you ever tried intermittent fasting in the past, and what is your opinion about it? Please let me know by commenting in the comments section below. And if you want to learn more about your health, make sure to subscribe to our channel by hitting the subscribe button below so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. I'm Dan, health consultant for Solensis. Have a great day and thank you for watching.